Welcome to 3R's Sports, and kind of on time is Raj this week. I won't completely call him on time. Robbie, can you testify that I sent the link at 8 a.m. this morning, correct?
Hey, this was the earliest it's ever been sent. I was
Early.
shocked to. I got two emails from you. I was thinking the world's about to blow up, but no, it was just you doing things on time.
I
You can't
again,
mix things up on us, dude. Like sometimes it's email, other times it's text. I'm
if
not
you
that
want to know the
smart.
truth, I usually send it all three ways. I may start telegraphing it too. So, welcome to 3R's Sports. Guys, I feel like we're around the corner from football season. It's like, the 17th is our football special live from Davis, Kessler, and Davis. That is 2 weeks away from tonight. Robbie, I have a jamboree the 14th at Sequatchie County Stadium. It's here. It's here, Robbie.
I know. I can't wait, and even though we had football season last year, this one feels different, and it just feels so much better, and it's almost here, and the anticipation and the hope for the season, everything except for the Vols, but yes, the hope for the Titans, the hope for my to be named later fantasy football team. I was looking at cheat sheets today and just got excited.
Cheat sheets of names or players?
A little bit of both.
Because I'll be honest, sometimes your names are better than your team.
Well,
your names are always stellar. Raj, we know you're still deeply in baseball season, and you're deeply you're playing it. You're an injured player tonight. We understand you're gutting one out for the team. How excited are you for football season?
I'm pretty stoked. I didn't realize I was. My name is Revenge Raj tonight, and that's because a certain cheating ass, can I say ass? I just did. Team from the state of Texas is back in Dodger Stadium tonight. They were there last year, but this is the first time in front of 55,000 since they stole signs from Yu Darvish and admitted to cheating for 3 consecutive years, including a time when Jose Altuve robbed Aaron Judge of the MVP in 2017. Anyways, I'm pretty fired up for that. So it's hard for me to switch that off. The Dodgers are finally getting healthy, and this could be a very strong team, to say the least.
Is that on TV tonight?
It's the free MLB game on MLB.com, the MLB TV. It may be on YouTube as well, but it is online. But I didn't realize it. Last year was so up in the air. I know we're going to talk about this in a sec, but Robbie texted that Jalen Hurts was a number 10 overall QB, and I was like, oh, it just instantly flipped a switch. I got in mode. And, I suddenly got stoked. I didn't realize I was ready for that. Just because I love baseball doesn't mean I have to turn one on and, turn the other off, so to speak. That's the beauty of this time of year and football season and everything. I'm looking in the magazine that I bought that I have not looked at all, clearly. Wanted to see where Jalen Hurts was. So while you guys discuss, I'll blurt it out if I ever find it.
Well, tonight we're going to start with a subject I didn't even have in our list tonight. But Robbie quite correctly corrected me, and it's probably the biggest story in the NBA. So we just talked about MLB. We just talked about NFL. So let's start with the NBA story. Basically, the Lakers have cleared out their roster, trading Kyle Kuzma, Montrezl Harrell, KCP, the number 22 pick in last week's draft, to the Wizards for Russell Westbrook, which at the time I believe left them 4 people. And since then, they've signed Dwight Howard and some other old guys that I went to college with. And now they have 7 people on roster. What are we going to make of one of these days? It's going to blow up in their face. But is the combination of Anthony Davis, LeBron James, and Russell Westbrook with a bunch of Randalls enough to win an NBA title?
So I mean, obviously, nothing gets done on a team LeBron's on without LeBron signing off on it. So he obviously signed off on this. What I don't get and I can't make sense of it is if Davis doesn't get hurt last year, I think they win the championship again. And so are you tinkering with not tinkering, blowing up a roster that won a championship in the bubble and without injuries they would have at least been in the finals. I'm confident of that. Maybe they don't beat Milwaukee, maybe they do. But I think you would bring the original gang back together and run it back and see without injuries if you can, win it again. I'm interested to see how Westbrook and LeBron play together. I mean, there was the same talk with Harden and Kyrie last year. I'm just not so. This reminds me of 03 and 04 Lakers whenever Malone and Peyton all came and tried to win a title before Kobe and Shaq broke up, and they ended up going down in flames to the Pistons. I'm not sure this is a good move. I think I would have – with AD and LeBron, you have two of the top 5 players in the league, and you match up well with anybody. So I don't know if I would have blown this up.
So the 4 players they signed, Raj, Dwight Howard, a bring back, Trevor Aziz, I believe a bring back also, Wayne Ellington, and another bring back in Kent Bazemore. Is there minutes in that group?
Yeah, I think so. They still had the mid-level exception. Yeah, I agree with Robbie entirely. This is shades of 2003, 2004. That team was Karl Malone, Steve Nash, Kobe Bryant, Shaq, and Rick Fox. And only, I believe, Devin George and Kobe were under like a certain age, like 26. That team was ancient. And the Pistons were young, aggressive, and they blew them out of the water. Everybody was young. Ben Wallace was a beast, Chauncey Billups. Just a money team. The Lakers had a lot of free agents, a lot of contracts up to, or due rather. They just used the mid-level exception because they still had it on Kendrick Nunn. Kendrick Nunn is a plus defender. He averages about 15 a game in Miami. It was kind of down to him and Alex Caruso, and every Laker fan loves Alex Caruso. Like, who doesn't love a balding white guy from Texas who's got serious ups and just throws it down? Caruso also started one of the finals games at Game 3, I believe, when they won it in the bubble and was lights out. Also a plus defender. But again, balding white guy. I mean, sorry, I'm teeing you up, Rob. But just kidding.
Hey, Randall's there too. We got 2 out of the 3 balding white men on here.
Yeah,
Hey,
I'm a balding brown
man.
guy.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a balding brown guy. But anyways, that Andre Drummond left. Sayonara. He, Dwight Howard came back, like we said, defensive presence. I feel much better after getting Kendrick Nunn, long story short. But yes, they need to get younger. I mean, you can't be signing Melo and all these dudes, and really the only young guys they have now are Talen Horton-Tucker, who they're super high on, and Kendrick Nunn, who I believe is 26 or something like that. But yeah, there is no. One guy goes down, and that's an old team, but they can learn to play. I mean, Westbrook's a walking triple-double. LeBron's a walking triple-double. It's going to take some time, but AD stays healthy. I think they'll figure it out. But the defense, especially the perimeter defense, is what I worry about.
So that's the one question I had for you. Talk of signing Melo after you let Caruso walk, after you let Dennis Schroeder walk. I was more shocked that they let Caruso walk than maybe you were, because he was maybe the best plus defender unheard of on that team. So what does your lineup look like? Can you take a stab at one, or you or Robbie? Can you? I mean, because right now I don't know who's playing where with the 8 they have. And if you have Carmelo Anthony, where are you at?
Yeah, and I'm not sure that it's early. I mean, I guess the season starts in October now. I mean, I'm with you though. What does Carmelo Anthony bring to the table? I mean, he's a shooter, but he doesn't play defense. And with Westbrook and LeBron and Anthony Davis, like you've got tons of scoring. I just don't know why you want a shoot. I mean, I'd rather get a defensive shooter or defensive stopper to take some pressure off of LeBron and Westbrook playing on the wings. Besides for LeBron playing with his friend and just being happy and some good locker room chemistry, I don't know what Carmelo brings to the table. So, no, I mean, obviously they've got three great players, 2 MVPs, all of them going to be Hall of Famers, but how they fit together, I don't see it yet.
Well, I would assume the big three, along with Nunn, and then would you start Horton Taylor? Would be your starting 5, or?
It's they're interchangeable. Horton Tucker's not. The good thing about, first of all, they have a record if Melo signs 5 players over the age of 35. So obviously we didn't really learn our lesson.
So I do see Malik Monk is still on the roster.
Malik Monk. One thing I see with this lineup is versatility. Caruso ended up getting $9 million per year. Kendrick Nunn is a very similar player, he is a better scorer, also defensive player, signed for the mid-level at 2 years and $10 million, $5 million per year. He wants to win a title. So, they cancel each other out, in my opinion. Westbrook, LBJ, these are guys that can play 2-3 different positions. The second unit, each one of those guys can come on pretty much by themselves with all of those other old dudes. And you wouldn't lose a lot in terms of second unit versus another team's second unit. D12 was huge in the bubble, just an enforcer, and really freed up Anthony Davis. He played so hard, and Andre Drummond, it's one thing he will never be known for is playing hard, unless it comes to the ladies. Mark Gasol, I mean, he got 6-8 minutes per game for a reason, but Horton Tucker, again, is a big guard. They're not done, but yes, I see versatility here despite the age. And again, not only in players, but in box score. I mean, you got 2 guys that are highest top 5 triple doubles all time. That's usually pretty good, but there's only one basketball.
Yeah, what troubles me about the team they have now is you can't run this age group through a regular season trying to get the number 1 seed. So you're just saying load management, let's get to the playoffs. We're going to have 3 of the top 5 players on the court. So you're going to have to win a lot of road playoff games in the Western Conference, which is loaded. Now, I'm not one to ever bet against LeBron, but that's tough.
Is this a 50-32 regular season team?
I think they'll be better than that. Most players to a T said that the bubble was a lot more rigorous than a standard playoff, despite the lack of travel and whatnot. It's pretty crazy. And whether that be the lack of defense, everything being so dense, whatever. Most players said that was much more aggressive. I agree that, maybe a 55-win team, 50-55. I think that's a safe bet. Like you said, it's all about load management. They're not going to be running those 3. We saw what happened in a short offseason with AD, and Rob's right. They were up 2-1 on Phoenix, and then AD got hurt. Game over. I think it is a 50-55 win team, but it's also got some serious veteran experience, and they don't care where they play. They can win anywhere.
What is the upside? And I got to see Dwight Howard a lot in person. What is Dwight Howard's upside over 50 games now? Can he still be a all-star player if you manage him correctly? Because there's no way Dwight Howard at 36, 37-year-old is going to go play 82 games. But in a short spurt, can Dwight Howard be enough inside with AD that covers it?
Well, what you have, I mean, so AD must be double teamed. LeBron must be double teamed. Westbrook has to at least have enough attention. Someone's got to be on the help side with him. It just gets to he's still 6'11", 7 foot, and can dunk. I mean, it can rebound. And so you get putbacks, you get defense, you get open looks on double teams. I mean, I guess that's what Carmelo's there for too, is hey, someone's going to have to shoot the wide open threes. And because they are a defensive nightmare as far as, because you can't guard Anthony Davis one-on-one, or you just let him score every time, or 80% of the time. Same with LeBron. And I mean, you got to have help on these people. And so that's what I think you bring Howard in for, is cheap labor and wants to win. And yeah, can't teach height and jumping.
True.
Yeah, he's I think the difference is in, the bubble year, he accepted finally his fate as a role player, and he did an amazing job. The last 2 years he played in 69 games each season, averaged 7 to 8 points a game. But more importantly, in 17 to 20 minutes, he's getting 8, 9, 10 boards. He's an enforcer, like Rob alluded towards. He's gonna get clean up. He's a monster physically. He's taking care of his body, much like LeBron and Kobe, rest in peace, prior. And, he knows he's coming in there to thump on people and clean up the garbage and get boards and kick it out to 3 huge scorers. He went to Philly and tried it out. He's back with the Lakers for a reason.
Odds out of 100, the Lakers win a title. Or Robbie?
I haven't looked at the odds. I'd give them about a 60% chance. I still, Milwaukee's tough. Clippers are, well, depends on if Kawhi, depends on what his injury is. I'd go 60%. I'd be comfortable with that.
Roger, resident Laker fan.
I'd probably be around 55 just because of the age thing. And, Phoenix is a young, aggressive team. The Clippers, if Kawhi comes back, at an infusion of young talent. It's the age thing does scare me. I'm not going to lie. Plus, you got the Nets waiting for you, or Milwaukee in all likelihood. Durant is the best player in the game right now, all things considered. Not to mention Golden State, that. Yeah, we forget that when Klay Thompson's on the floor with Steph Curry, they don't lose much. So the West is going to be insane this year, and Luka, and it's going to be interesting. One thing about the Lakers is their roster isn't done. Rob Pelinka knows what he's doing, so we shall see. But 55-60, I'm comfortable with. I believe I've seen somewhere them and the Nets are like the 2 favorites, or the Nets were just ahead of them. But, yeah, we don't want to fall in the trap of 03-04.
Quickly, are you taking the Nets big 3 or the Lakers big 3?
Me? Lakers.
You just stole my next question.
Oh, sorry. Randall, Raj went Lakers. Who are you going with?
I'm going with the Nets.
I think I'm going with the Nets also.
I think it depends on if AD's on the floor – or Durant's on the floor. Those 2 guys are the difference maker. If one of them is hurt, you go the other way.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. We do more West Coast basketball than any. I put on the headline today when I was advertising our podcast out. The world's most dangerous podcast, West Coast to the Dirty South. And that may be our new tagline. So this week was a crazy week in sports, and we'll be back to LA again here in just a second. Trade deadline baseball. You saw 2 teams that were not that far out of first place, that were contenders, that are big market teams, basically sell their whole team off. And then you saw the Tampa Bay Rays, who sold their whole team off in the offseason, go quietly put together a power hitter, a couple more pitchers, and now they're back in contention. I don't think I remember a crazier trade deadline. Raj, we'll start with you, and I know we'll kind of break down some of the trades. But overall, the impression of the last week in Major League Baseball and the Nationals and the Cubs just basically throwing all their chips in and saying, okay, we're starting over.
Yeah, I mean, it was the busiest trade deadline and probably the best ever. The Cubs, Jed Hoyer came out, I think today or yesterday, and said it was frustrating that we couldn't get our 3 stars to sign contract extensions. Those guys, I mean, Rizzo's getting up there, but those guys aren't that old. I mean, there's no reason, in my opinion, that it wasn't necessary for them to have a fire sale. And I don't think they got –
just before the season, they let Schwarber walk. So let's go back to that.
Yeah, absolutely. And then he went to the Nats, and then they traded him after he had like one of the hottest Junes or whatever it was, just hitting homer after homer. But, Scherzer was 37, and he's a rental. If not for Trevor Bauer and his alleged sickoness, the Dodgers wouldn't have had to made that deal. But Corey Seager is going to be a free agent at the end of the year. Trey Turner's under control for 1 more year. So they play the same position. But LA loves versatility, and they got all that. I think Washington, though, they did better than the Cubs. The Dodgers had to give up talent to get who they got. One of them was Keibert Ruiz, an amazing catcher, but him and Will Smith play the same position. And there's only one catcher, and there's no DH in the National League. Josiah Gray was the Dodgers' top pitcher. They were showcasing him, gave up a few dongs when he came up, but he'll be okay. Donovan Casey, a Double-A outfielder. Washington, in my opinion, did much better with 2 players than the Cubs did with 3. And they still have Juan Soto. They still have Strasburg. They're going to be all right, and I think they'll be back way sooner than the Cubs. But, yeah, it was crazy. Underrated move, too, was Chris Bryant to the Giants. I'm not real thrilled about that one, but, the Dodgers GM, Andrew Friedman, his protege is Farhan out in San Francisco, and he pulled a Friedman move getting Chris Bryant, which was really well done, unfortunately, for LA.
Robbie, I know you're not the biggest baseball guy in the world, but even you had to be interested in just teams. They sold off their AMC early.
Yeah, so this was my takeaway from the trade deadline, and Raj just gave you much more of a intelligent breakdown than I will be able to do about the trade deadline. So I will just go with just overall thoughts. It's kind of what a World Series brings to the fan base and to the equity these people in charge have. And then, so like the Cubs won, and then now, boom, we're starting all over. Like, we're no longer going for it. Fire sale. The Nats, they won a World Series. Boom, fire sale. We're going back to the basics, back to the Moneyball philosophy. Let's get prospects. Let's rebuild this whole thing again. And so it's so far from the Yankees view of just going for it every year. Let's win. It looks like the Dodgers, the whole NL West is all going for it, which makes it great for that division and for that. The Dodgers have always been a big deal, but now San Diego and just the whole West Coast going for it. But yeah, it's been different
on the West Coast.
Yeah.
It is like a nuclear explosion out there right now.
Right. And so, yeah, all these players, I mean, it's exciting for the sport. It's exciting for what's great for the sport to be leading off Sports Center with something besides Yankees Red Sox for the 17,000th time. So I think it's good to grow the sport nationally instead of it being a regional game. So I think that's good. I know my brothers in-laws are huge Cubs fans, and they were just like, what is going on? Like, just, that whole that magical 2016 team is all gone now, and you just got to be like, hey, instead of writing it out and hoping, think like all your best moment as a sports fan in your life, they're all gone now. So it's kind of sad for them. And then you have the White Sox across town doing really well, and so again, I mean, new teams in the mix, which is good. But yeah, I think it's just a World Series now buys you a lot of clout, and you can blow up teams now.
Speaking of that, I haven't even contacted Ray, the ultimate Cubs fan, this week. I thought I'd give him a week off, but his mom seriously posted it, how depressed Ray was after the trade deadline. He worshipped Rizzo, and it's the only baseball he ever knew was Rizzo and Bryant and Baez. And
think about how many kids in Chicago are named after those guys.
A bunch.
Yeah.
Not to mention the 80-year-old that waited his whole life to get one title, and then within 4 years, there's no reason. The Dodgers have been relevant. Some would argue, should have 2 or more. The Giants had 3 in 4 or 5 years. There's no reason why you have to blow it up.
Right.
For every Marlins fire sale, and they did it twice and won 2 championships. A lot of it's about your GMs and your scouting, international and otherwise. The Dodgers have always been very relevant there. Giants as well. Some organizations can just reload versus rebuild. And I think for the Cubs, I do feel bad. I mean, that was a magical year. Hey, David Ross is still there, and talk about getting a raw deal. The guy waited like his whole life to become a manager, and now he's in Chicago, and they get rid of all of his best players. Yeah. Kimbrel's having a point. He had a sub 1 ERA, like 0.59, which is insane.
And they may have got the best player in the whole deal for Kimbrel and Nick Margell from the White Sox. I mean, that's a nice player.
Mm-hmm.
I want to stop you right there before we go farther. There is a way to rebuild without tearing your franchise root to root. Now, we would all agree the Braves have had a tragic year injury. But let's look at what they did at the trade deadline. Bryce Ball was a top 10 first baseman in their organization, blocked by Freddie Freeman. They do trade off Blaze Wilson, who last year was great in the playoffs. Not so good this year, but you add a closer in Richard Rodriguez. You added a catcher in Stephen Vaught. You added 4 outfielders in Adam Duvall, Eddie, what's his name for the Twin? Eddie Udera, Soler, and Jock Peterson. And the Braves didn't break up their system. They didn't give away West or Pache or any top prospects. But the Braves probably aren't going to win a World Series. Matter of fact, I'm telling you, they probably did this to get to the playoffs without Acuna. But I felt like the Braves at least went out there and tried. If I was a fan of some of these teams, like the Phillies, I don't know that you tried to get better. And you're in the deadline. So the Braves, the Mets tried to get better in the East. The Phillies stood pat, and the Nats sold off everything. Mm-hmm. So did the Marlins were out of it. But you had a 4-team race. One of the teams collapsed. One did nothing. One did a bunch of minor deals, and one went for it. If you're a fan of one of those teams that did nothing, how do you feel today?
Well, let me just talk. So I'm looking up at the National League East right now. It is amazing. The run differential of these teams for the season: Mets -10, Phillies -18, Braves +49, Nationals -21, the Marlins in last at +1. The Braves should be better than they are. Like, the record should be better than they are. They're a better team than they are. The win-loss record is showing. They have good nights and they have horrible nights. So, yeah, if I'm the Braves, I'm still confident that this division is winnable. And then you get in the playoffs, and who knows? I mean, don't forget last year they had a 3-1 lead over the Dodgers. Like, obviously their best player is still out, but there's still plenty of talent on that team. So yeah, I'm looking at the Braves and looking what the Nats did. I'm happy as a Brave if I'm a Braves fan right now.
You had it, Jorge Solera, who hit 48 home runs 2 years ago. Now he might hit 220, but he's a Gold Glove right fielder and a 50 home run power. I agree with you.
Dude, I was super impressed. Anthopoulos is easily one of the best GMs in the league. They didn't give up jack, really, and they got in a super winnable division. And as we all know, anything can happen if you get in playoffs. Soler and Jock Peterson are under 1-year deals. So what? You free up that money afterwards. You could catch lightning in a bottle. They got arguably one of the best relievers, aside from Kimbrel, and Richard Rodriguez from Pittsburgh. Dodgers last year. One thing common with all teams that do well in the playoffs is, their bullpen and defensive ability. And Soler and Peterson are both, Jock can play two positions. They're both plus defenders. They lost the best player arguably in the league, and they went for it. And, their pitching staff has had massive injuries, but, they're still obviously, a solid pitching staff with Morton and what's his name, Freed and Ian Anderson, if he can get healthy. Smiley's a veteran. So, and on top of that, they added, not a huge average guy, but how many homers has Duvall hit this year? Ironically enough, for another team, but now he's back. I mean, he's hit 30 home runs or something like that. I think I'm.
Oh no, he was deadly in the bubble last year. For 60 games, he hit 17 home runs.
No, sorry, he's got 22 home runs and 69 RBIs and an OPS of 740, still above the average. So, yeah, man, they can catch lightning in the bottle. Those guys can all get hot. They're up 6-0 right now. You never know. That's a winnable division, to say the least.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
The last thing I want to talk about before we dive into this is, and it just came out lately. Before we leave baseball, we'd be remiss not to mention the Mets and Kumar Rocker. Rocker doesn't sign. Basically, the Mets claim he's injured. Rocker claims he's not. Last I knew, I had a 4:00 deadline. I don't think it got done. Is it fair that the Mets doesn't sign their first-round pick and they're punished by getting an extra first-round pick next year? So they go from the 10th pick, not signing him in the 21. They get the 11th pick next year because they didn't sign the 10th pick this year. That may be one of the most unfair things I've heard of in sports. That's like drafting the wrong player and somebody letting you redo it.
I've done that.
But, I mean, what do you make of that, Raj? You don't sign your first-round pick.
Hey, you guys should know homeboy from Tennessee, Luke Hocheber. But I think that was contractual more than anything with the Dodgers. And I don't remember their compensation, to be honest. Yeah, 2 years ago, Rocker was the overall done number one. It wasn't even a debate back then. An elbow injury. I mean, I agree with you. That's they seem to be rewarded for not scouting properly, or was there any fraud or deceit by Rocker's camp? I don't believe so. That does seem a bit overly beneficial for the Mets, in my opinion.
So wait, you're gonna have to explain to me. So the Mets picked a player. They didn't sign him for injury reasons, and then they get the same pick next year?
Yes. So you made a bad pick. You found out after the draft. You just don't sign him, and you get the pick back next year.
And that's in addition to another first-round pick?
Yes.
Yeah, the baseball draft's stupid.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna.
That's the end of my analysis on that. I don't know anything other than that.
I'm passing on all my draft picks this year, and I'd like to take double picks in the 23 draft or 22 draft because I think if y'all let me have twice as many picks as everybody else, I might win the league.
Now, did this kid get to go play in college, or is he going straight to their farm system? I mean, in theory.
He was at
Vandy.
He pitched in the College World Series for Vandy. Scott
Oh,
Boras.
well, if you draft a Vandy player, you should lose your pick anyways.
Yeah. Scott Boras is his agent, says he's healthy.
Yeah.
The Mets says he's not. So it's kind of a crazy situation. But, Kamar Rocker could return to Vandy and pitch in college next year.
Bring it on. The Vols are going to beat that ass. Rod's already asked, so I figure we can.
But then again, Kamar Rocker's dad is former defensive line coach at Tennessee, Tracy Rocker's son. So,
and he is half Indian, which is awesome.
Yeah, so there's hope for your son, Rod, to make it to the major leagues.
Exactly.
So we're about halfway to the show, and this is usually when we do something fun. So let's do a little different. And the topic, I don't know if y'all had a lot of time to look at it this week, was the top 10 iconic images of college football. And I'll be honest with you, I don't have a complete top 10. I'm going to kind of roll it off my head. I have several I like. Do either one of y'all have your top 10 ready?
I do.
Robbie,
I do for once as well.
All right, Raj, you go first. You're never prepared.
I know. Tell me about it.
I'm proud of both of you. This gives me time to get one together while you go. We'll start with Mr. Davis. Mr. Mehta, you're second up.
Okay, so I wrote this down. So I've got the eagle soaring around Jordan Hare. I've got the Vol Navy, Howard's Rock. I've got Death Valley with the LSU Whites. Just the Rose Bowl and everything it stands for. I've got Ohio State, Michigan, the Penn State Whiteout, the USC Song Girls, A&M 12th Man. And you know what? The more I started thinking about this, just one character means college football, and especially in the South. Paul Feinbaum. I just got him as just an image of college football. And I think with the rise of popularity of it, and it's the second most popular sport in America, and he's just the mouth of the South, and I just couldn't get through my list without thinking of, and part of it is the Alabama-Auburn rivalry, the Iron Bowl, but is it a game or is it just the year-round bitterness, and it just makes itself embarrassingly so popular on Feinbaum.
Yeah, some characters.
Who murders trees, man? Now, to be very honest, the West Coast, other parts of the country, I know about Feinbaum, and I knew about him. I know about him now, but it's not like something we watch. Yeah. But since then, they put it on ESPN2, his show every day. So it's a little bit different. I had a remarkably similar list. The Song Girls, I was thinking the same, the images and whatnot. One thing Randall had suggested, I won't steal his thunder, but it involves USC. I'm sure he's going to go with that. I also added, Rose Bowl, of course. I added Notre Dame, whether it be Play Like a Champion Today or Touchdown Jesus or the guard, the Irish guard, or I can't remember what they do, the song before the start of the fourth quarter, but it's pretty sweet watching the student section. I also, dotting the I instead of Ohio State, Michigan, I put dotting the I. I was thinking images for some reason. I love Ralphie the Buffalo in Colorado, back in the day when they were good and that place was sold out, Cordell and whatnot, and Ralphie came out. That was pretty sweet. Way better than that Sooner wagon because Ralphie, oddly enough, doesn't tip over. And then this was honorary for me. It's pretty cool, even though the team is not that great. I haven't been in a while, is Enter Sandman at night at Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty cool. I can't believe that stadium stays standing. It looks like it's going to fall over, and probably not an appropriate thing right now in the world. I didn't mean that as a reference, but I had LSU at night. The whiteout, like I said, just very similar list. I mean, these are iconic images for a reason.
Yeah, my honorable mention was Wisconsin's jump around. And then I thought about, I mean, it's hard to say college football without Notre Dame. It's just in my lifetime, Notre Dame, it's just, like they're there, but there's no rivalry in our neck of the woods. And they've been a punching bag for the majority of my life, And so it's while they're there, it's just, they're kind of like, I don't even know who to compare them to. I mean,
even when they're good, they end up being a punching bag in the BCS era, and they think they can play with the SEC's best, and they end up getting trucked 9 times out of 10. So I get it. I have a different conception of them. Obviously, being an SEC
you
guy,
have the rivalry, and the same thing is like, I mean, Tennessee, Alabama is still a huge game to us Vols fans, but to the rest of the country, it's not. I mean, Tennessee never wins, and so it's just like
it's 55-3 to the rest of the country.
Yeah.
But now, saying that, my first experience, I've said this before, with the SEC was I was in graduate school in Ohio, and a couple of buddies were from the SEC, one from Florida, and I came down to Tennessee. I've said this many times, Tennessee, Florida, at Neyland, and I had to that point never seen anything like it. And that's when Tennessee was good. The strip's always been kind of ugly, but you couldn't see any part of the road because it was all blocked off and everybody was in orange. That was unlike anything I've seen. Not to mention we were able to sneak in the game for free via the TV tunnel, and just basically waited for a big play and walked up into the student section where there was a bunch of girls in boots with booze in their shoes, which something I'd never seen before either. So
that was pre Fort Sanders Yacht Club with the vodka infused Capri Suns.
Indeed. Yes. And that's a basketball tradition, but we do love Fort Sanders.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, it's Tennessee, Florida to me has always been a huge game. As like Rob said, in my Southern SEC lifetime, Alabama's just kicked the crud out of them every time. But they managed to play good games with Florida a lot often, and I like seeing those colors too. The two schools, very vibrant and obviously passionate, huge stadiums and great fans.
So, and I think it's an age thing. Florida is not the same as Alabama for me.
Yeah.
I grew up when it was Alabama, Tennessee, and Florida was non-existent. So it's really in the last, if you're under 40, it's probably Florida. If you're over 40, it's probably Alabama. So I've got a lot of your list, but I love some of the pageantry of college football. So I'm gonna go down my list a little bit. I have 11 because I can't get away from jump around. To me, that looks just so fun. I also have the Virginia Tech Metallica entrance at 10. I think that's awesome. At number 9, I have the fact that Alabama has no logo. I still think the numerals on the helmet is ugly, but it is as identifiable as anything on the face in college football. When you see numerals on the side of the helmet, you know it's Alabama. Number 8 also has to do with the helmet. I think there's nothing more identifiable than the big play Buckeye stickers on Ohio State's helmet, and how you start early in the year and you have a couple of stickers, and then by the end of the year in bowl season, you have somebody that's just covered in stickers. Every big play you make, every big hit, you receive a Buckeye sticker.
I like that.
You receive an envelope, a fat envelope, right, at Ohio State?
Yes, that is true.
Hey, it's straight. It's a cashier's check now. NIL in full effect.
Heck yeah, Cash App.
I don't know if the 12th man is the same thing as the Aggie yell, but it just to me is just awe-inspiring. Number 6, and I took part in this at a Florida Auburn game, wearing a Auburn jersey, screaming my head off, pretending to be a student, rolled Toomer's Corner, and it was just the tradition of it was really, really fun. That weekend is always a special weekend for me. I went to Florida. I went to Tennessee, Alabama. Got in my car, drove across state, and went to Florida, Auburn. So it doesn't get any better than that weekend for me. Number 5 is my Tennessee tradition, and I thought about all things Tennessee, and there's nothing for me that is more Tennessee than breaking the tee at the beginning of the game. It is so rare in college football. It's a different effect, and when we're actually good, it will shake the stadium. So breaking the tee is there with me. Number 4, I'll go to Pac-12, and it's the one Raj was talking about. When USC, UCLA play, and they both wear their home jersey. That is just, I love that. I wish more teams would do it. Tennessee and Alabama did it once in the 70s, and I think it's just absolutely iconic.
And Randall, you're and I agree with you. You're dating yourself, as am I. But back in the day, whether it be OJ, not to mention, I mean, when they would play it was the only rivalry that teams would wear their home colors. They're the only 2 programs that are, I think, 13 miles apart. But Marcus Allen, Charles White. It was a very vibrant picture, let alone at the Rose Bowl when both teams were actually good. We keep saying when our teams were actually good. It was so vibrant. Keith Jackson calling the game. So I agree 100% with you. But maybe somebody of Rob's generation may not have experienced that when we were younger.
Well, I didn't experience back then, but I love it now.
Yeah, that would be sweet. In the SEC.
My favorite uniforms and my favorite uniform combination, and I have been there at night wearing the other team's stuff. LSU at night wearing home whites, to me, is the most iconic image that college football presents. No one else wears home whites. No one else has. LSU is a strange place where they'll invite you to tailgate with you and drink beer with you. And then if you beat them, you better get ready to cut your way out of the stadium post-game. I mean, it is unique in the world. It is the most friendly, nastiest crowd that I've ever been in my life. This last one is one of the few things left on my bucket list. And I think all college football fans are to strive to go to an Army-Navy game. And the parade of the cadets entering the stadium, the Army-Navy from different ends. I think that's my number one iconic moment in college football. Out of all the games I've watched in college football in the last 50 years, I bet you I've watched 49 of the Army-Navy games. It's just something special to me. Yeah. Notre Dame was there. I didn't know. You both said touchdown Jesus. That was probably going to be my thing. The duck on the motorcycle, as lame as it sounds, I think is neat.
Oh, did you go out to Eugene when Tennessee played out there? It's so obnoxious. It's so stupid.
It is.
Yeah.
Has anyone been to the cocktail party?
I've been to the cocktail party. It is. The thing about the cocktail party is how divided it is. And I mean, it is very I went with a Georgia fan, and I wore Georgia colors because I hate, that's one of my pet peeves. If you're going to a Georgia-Florida game, don't roll up in a Tennessee shirt.
I don't like wearing.
I go neutral.
Don't wear
gray.
Yeah, don't wear a random team that's not playing. Don't wear colors or pick a
t-shirt.
Now, I would never wear Georgia or Florida colors, but
I think I wore a red Cincinnati red shirt because it was the only one I had.
Yeah.
The other one I wrote down early today, and I'm going to lump all of it together. Ralphie, Bevo, the Boomer Schooner, the Ramblin' Wreck from Georgia Tech, that was there, all that stuff. And for some reason, and I hate Florida and these are not on my top 10. But if I was a Florida fan, I would gator chomp you all day long because it's so obnoxious.
I'll tell you what is. Yeah, it is obnoxious. I'll tell you what is really cool. If you've never, and I can't believe the name of the horse is blanking on me. But a Florida State pregame when the chief rides the horse out and plants the flaming spear at the 50-yard line.
War chant, right? Is it war chant? Is that the name of the horse?
It's Chief Osceola. Osceola. And then I can't remember the horse's name. But that's really cool. What Florida State does. But again, back when they were good.
Renegade.
Yes.
There's so many of them. There's some that I wanted to put on the list, and 10's not enough. I could have probably done 50 of them.
Well, think about Texas. Oklahoma didn't make either of our lists. I mean, those are two iconic traditional programs. While the Iowa tradition of waving to the kids hospital, that's very new, but really it's awesome. But just not doesn't. I mean, the college football is so rich in tradition that it's hard to add everything.
And we've lost some. I miss the beer barrel. Tennessee and Kentucky played for beer barrel for decades. I think UCLA USC plays for the Victory Bell. Is that correct?
It is.
I know Michigan and Minnesota plays for Floyd of Rosedale Pig something.
Yeah. Wisconsin and Minnesota play for Paul Bunyan's Axe. I'll tell you what, back when they made NCAA football on PlayStation, if you were one of those, if you did a dynasty with the Big Ten teams, your trophy collection was huge because they've all got, they've all got trophies with each other.
Little brown jug. One thing about USC and UCLA, much like other SEC schools, is, not quite as destructive as dude that killed a tree, which I just could never get over. Tommy Trojan is duct taped. So is the UCLA. They're bear, Bruin, whatever it is, throughout the week. They're on guard 24/7. The Victory Bell is painted in the color of whichever team won. Also, being guarded, kind of like from the movie Wildcats, where stealing the goat from the other team. If anybody has not seen that movie, we're dating ourselves. 1980. Randall's seen it. Great movie. But iconic tradition, however you want to frame it. If you said the most heartwarming, then Iowa would be number one. It just college football pageantry of all of it. It offers so much. And
let me tell you my favorite USC though, that I don't know how I can leave it. The jersey thing's the only reason I left it off. I love, and I think USC's is iconic. Michigan's iconic. Just that victory cry, that victory bell. The band plays that note, and you get that march. You know exactly who it is without a doubt.
And they sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Go ahead.
They light the torch at the start of the fourth quarter of the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum, built for the 1932 Olympics. Actually, maybe before that, because they even played baseball there. But it's pretty cool being in that stadium when USC is good. Against Notre Dame or UCLA, sold out at night, and that torch lights up. It seems to do something to the team and to the crowd. The Coliseum is unlike any other in terms of architecture, so pretty cool.
I want to ask Robbie. I want to ask Robbie about the new Tennessee tradition, the walking to the bus in the fourth quarter. It seems to be getting more and more popular over the years.
Oh yeah. And that's what's funny is like, and I was trying not to be a homer. Man, when Tennessee's rolling, Rocky Top, man, that's like hearing that song, hearing 110,000 people sing Rocky Top, like that's what college football is about. I mean, it's the most. Well, I mean, the fact that even like you had Chip Kelly who coming when Oregon played, or when Jeff Teffer brought Cal. Just like the whole week in practice, they just play, the opposing team plays it on repeat, That's just how important it is, and like get used to it. Like you're gonna hear it every first down, Rocky Top, and that's just cool.
You accomplished something, and this is not a shot at the Pac-12 or the Big Ten or any other conference, but it seems like when those schools come south, that they have an experience they don't have in their conference. I remember Baker Mayfield talking after playing at Tennessee that he had never experienced anything like that. And I know that's probably a lot mouth speak too, but you've seen Baker Mayfield's face light up in his post-conference interview, and I know going on the road, I can tell you right now, I will never set foot in Ben Hill Griffin Stadium in my life. But when 85,000 people start gator chomping at you as you're walking to your seat, it's pretty intimidating.
Yeah.
Or at Alabama when they sing Dixieland a lot and they F Auburn and Tennessee too. It can be different.
I don't know. Have any of you guys been to the Big House?
I've been to the stadium when nobody was there. I just wanted to see.
Yeah, so it's kind of how Texas is, like, which would be Baker Mayfield's probably the only other comparison he has to SEC. The Big House, it's just so it's built underground, but it just stretches out so wide, and so you're not steep, you're not on top of each other. It's the quietest 110,000 people you could ever imagine.
Baker Mayfield would have never played at Texas, though. That's the reason I hate.
Oh yeah, the Cotton Bowl. Yeah, good catch there. Yeah.
So it's. We'll move on from this subject, but I do think of all, and this leads into the next subject is expansion of college football. I do think that that Texas and Oklahoma joining the SEC is going to add something to the conference. Again, I have a great desire to go to a game at Oklahoma. I missed it a few years ago. But what about expansion of college football? This week it was reported that Clemson and Florida State had reached out to the SEC with a desire to move. I guess desire to move is the wrong word, but they
get on board or get left behind at the station.
Yeah,
it's obviously going to be a power conference.
SEC. When is too much, and who is going to survive the battle of expanding conferences? Robbie or Raj, either one of you.
Raj, you want to take it?
I really don't. I even read stuff about, that Pac-12's preeminent programs reaching out to possibly considering the SEC, like USC and Oregon and maybe even Washington. I mean, when does this stop? It used to be a regional thing that made sense. And, the Big Ten versus the Pac-10 and the Rose Bowl. The SEC makes enough money as it is. I don't really know why Oklahoma and Texas are doing this, but, it's going to be a slippery slope, in my opinion. And if you're one of those teams stuck in another conference, you're not going to make nearly as much money. You're not going to play nearly as great of competition. I don't know. I think it's silly all the way around. Just keep it. I didn't even like adding A&M, a natural, Texas rival with Texas rather than OU. When does it ever? And Missouri, like, come on, dude. When does it stop?
Well, Raj, before we get off of the subject though, if the Pac-12 are forced to expand, could the Pac-12 get to 16 teams without raiding the Big 12 leftovers? Would they be forced to go into Texas and take a TCU or a Baylor or someone, in the past? I think the Pac-12 has been very against taking religious-based schools,
like BYU.
And now would the Pac-12 then open their doors to Texas Christian, Baylor, BYU?
I guess they'd have to. BYU and Boise State have been on the table before. San Diego State, lesser extent Nevada, UNLV. I mean, look what you're talking about there versus whatever the SEC is going to become. I'd like to see them stand pat if such a thing is possible. not to mention, that the SEC, it would be difficult for most teams other than Alabama to run the table. So who knows what's going to happen in that, if that actually does go down and you have an undefeated team. At least that other team can, make an argument to be in the playoff. And just like the Braves winning the NL East, if they do, you never know what can happen after that point. But yeah, I mean, what if USC and Oregon join the SEC, the Southeastern Conference? Then what's left? Literally what's left in football. I don't know how it would go down. At least I'd get to watch more games, and USC would make a lot more money on the network.
Robbie, you're an SEC guy with me. There's some points to Raj's why Texas and Oklahoma other than just money. Are you satisfied with Texas and Oklahoma joining the SEC?
So this is obviously a very complicated topic. And because we don't know what the end game is yet.
Well said.
I foresee what the SEC wants to do is essentially become the Saturday version of the NFL. Or the third, I guess the NFL has third. I guess the Saturday version of the NFL and do time slots. And so if that's their goal, they've got the best brand and they've got the TV partnership with ESPN. So now it becomes, okay, if you're on the outside looking in, regardless of where you are in the country, are you going to want in this league or not? If you're not in this league, what does that look like? Who are you TV partners with? Because if ESPN goes all in with this new league, let's just call it a college football league, packaged as the SEC. If ESPN goes all in with this league, the NCAA is dead. I mean, they're probably already dead anyway. And so, yes, if I'm USC and I'm Oregon, yes, I'm absolutely saying, all right, regional products, it's just gone. Like the college football is changing before our eyes. And so if I'm the SEC, is 20 enough? Do I want to grab USC, Oregon, Ohio State, and Michigan? Would they come? Or do I grab Clemson, Florida State? And that's my 20. And hey, or conversely, do I wait till this TV deal is up? I add Texas, Oklahoma for whatever the price is going to be. Then right after that deal, we get this in place. Then I start picking more network or more markets. Then when the next TV rights comes on, does Amazon, Google, Apple come and blow ESPN out of the water? Like, there's so much finances that we don't know is what's going on. And this is happening so fast. And I agree with Raj and to the extent what he said earlier is like Missouri didn't make any sense to me. The St. Louis market wasn't a great addition. A&M, yes, Houston, that Texas market that brought some money. Missouri seemed like a wrong fit. Put them in the East. Now you got Missouri, Vanderbilt, Kentucky. They're there, so you got to deal with them. But you hear the Pac-12 and the Big 12 are now talking about merging. If I'm USC and I'm Oregon, I'm not sure that makes a lot of sense to take some also-rans in Texas. But now does USC leave UCLA? Oregon State, sorry, you guys are out of there. They don't bring anything to the table. And so a long answer to the question is we don't know yet, but I think the SEC planted their flag even deeper as they are going to be this new NIL version of college football.
Well, I got one question is, Texas has arguably the most successful sports network in the Longhorn network. BYU does as well. How does that come? It's all about money. We know this. Yeah. To me, it's like, when does the SEC become a more selective NCAA? Like, I will
Yeah.
take this team and that team and this team and that team. I mean, if this is the case, and I mean, the SEC is just next level when it comes to making money. But, why not have a mandatory out-of-conference game, SEC versus Pac-12 every year, or, that type of thing. Limit the number of games because, I mean, nobody wants to see Alabama crush Missouri. But,
No.
if, Alabama had one game against other power conferences, and, I understand parity, and that's not fair to the Mountain Wests of the world. But, I mean, it's going to be more fair and equitable than what's going to happen if the SEC just starts swallowing up all the monster programs.
Well, I'm interested to see, like, does this 12-team playoff now go through, or do they push it back? Because if I'm Oklahoma State or USC or Oregon or even Clemson, hey, I'm okay being the Gonzaga of college football. Let me just win my conference every year, get into the dance, and let's see if I can do some damage. Because Oklahoma State now, if the Big 12 has a bid, as they were talking, I mean, Oklahoma State should win the new Big 12 every single year. And hey, if you're automatically into the playoffs, then hey, that's revenue, that's money coming your way. Now, the question is now if the SEC takes their Powerball and just says, hey, no, we want 4 and we may get 3 of the 4 teams in ourselves, what happens to the rest of the leagues?
I think there's a conceit, Robbie, that if the SEC goes to 4 pods, that each pod member is guaranteed a spot. And I think the SEC has that kind of power. If you have a pod winner, they're automatically playoff eligible.
So you think of the 12-team playoff, SEC's gonna be guaranteed 4 spots?
I think it's very conceivable.
Probably already happened, so
yeah.
why do a bunch of pods?
You probably are right that so they get a third of the playoff off the bat without wild cards. I mean, yeah.
And then it comes down to an argument. If the Pac-12 does that, and and I do. Let me say, I do not have the love for Oklahoma and Texas. Some do. I do understand the value of Oklahoma and Texas, but I would be very interested to see a combined Pac-12 with the best parts of the Big 12 left over. I do think a Baylor, TCU, Oklahoma State added to the Pac-12 becomes an aggressive conference. I think if the Big Ten to me seems the least likely wanting to move. That I'm afraid the Big Ten, if they don't react soon, are going to get the Rutgers and the Temples and the Marylands,
Well, if I'm West Virginia, I'm terrified right now.
Yes.
Kansas State, I'm terrified. And I'll not necessarily terrified, but you're looking at musical chairs. Notre Dame, you may be finding so there's I think there's 4 major players for Notre Dame. It's Ohio State, Michigan, Clemson, and USC, maybe Florida State. If Ohio State, Michigan, and USC, any combination of the other ones, if they jump to this mega conference and they get to 20, Notre Dame can't. There's not enough quality opponents for them to schedule to make them at all relevant anymore.
So I do think that Notre Dame, despite of its partnership with the ACC, if push comes to shove and it becomes brand recognition and saving the brand, I think Notre Dame is forced to join the Big Ten. And I don't know if the lay of the land is part of it, but when you start talking about Notre Dame geographically is in Michigan's back door.
But
And
what if Ohio State and Michigan bounce?
if Ohio State and Michigan look, there is 6 teams to me that control their own destiny that might write what happens here. Florida State, Clemson, Ohio State, Michigan, USC, Oregon.
I agree.
Those 6 teams may determine what happens in the future of college football. If USC and Oregon decides we're going to stay in the Pac-12 and we're going to build around us, and there are some pieces out there. Washington's a viable football program. I've heard talk. I think Baylor's a viable football team. I think that if you could snap up Oklahoma State, they may be the best football program floating out there that no one's got a real bead on.
And this just shows the power of college football. In college basketball, Baylor and Gonzaga played in the championship, and they may both be just in their own little conferences. Like this is a college football decision these schools are all having to make, and that's it. It's not academics no more. It is college football, and it is television money.
So the other part of this, and I don't know if either one of you read it today, evidently 9 of the current 14 presidents signed a letter to the SEC Commissioner Sankey asking to revoke Vanderbilt's membership in the SEC.
Whoa.
And that
Wow.
If they could get 12 members, that you could actually see Vanderbilt kicked out of the SEC. And I read it from a legitimate source. It ain't a source that's let me just see if I can pull that up. But the reason being was, what does Vandy bring to this?
Academic reputation and let's get those guys. Sorry.
Well, that's the only team Tennessee can beat.
Hey, they bring baseball. Basketball's pretty strong too. Yeah, academically they do separate themselves, but I mean, I didn't even. What's the source on that? Speaking of Vandy, the reason why I've been smiling is Walker Buehler's pitching, and the Dodger fans have been booing incessantly. It was so loud when Altuve came up and Buehler just struck out Correa to get out of the inning. So Walker Buehler, Vanderbilt, proof positive. They have a great program. They're still booing. Sorry. What is the source? And not to put you on the spot.
For it. I read this at work. I really didn't have time to read it.
But why?
Y'all go ahead and discuss this.
We're doing reckless speculation on Vandy getting kicked out. I love it.
No, this was from someone. I want to say it was from the Athletic.
All right, so predict reckless speculation. If that is true, and if Vandy then gets removed, then all hell is going to break loose, and it is going to open the doors for Michigan and Ohio State.
Yeah, I'm doing reckless. I'm still looking for it.
And if Michigan and Ohio State come, then Clemson and Florida State and Oregon and USC are all coming, and that will be the new college football league. Reckless speculation.
Yeah, it's reckless until I find the source.
That's probably
checking out the Athletic.
It's probably me texting you at 7 a.m. on Sunday morning with a hangover.
It might have been Reddit, but I don't know.
Oh, well, Reddit, that's where I get my investment advice. It's legit. GameStop, man, all the way.
Well, I saw it on Wikipedia, actually, so somebody's got it down, I think.
Yeah, let's just call it reckless speculation until I find the article and I'll send it to everybody.
Well, it sounds, I mean, if that's the case, that maybe it was kind of in reference or in lieu of the potential joining of these other big programs, and there may be one odd man out. And if there is an odd man out, then I would think Vandy would be it, at least from a competition standpoint when it comes to football, because that's where the dollars are.
I don't understand what they do with all their SEC money they get. Like the stadiums still suck. The basketball gym, I would rather hang myself outside of it than go inside of it in
And I
these
think
days.
that was
I
the
think they buy
tone of
books
this
and
article.
stuff.
Like they have libraries there?
Yeah, and a hospital too that's functioning.
Oh. UT has a good vet center or vet school.
Yeah, and Cadaver Central, man. Nobody's
Yeah.
better than the body farm.
Oh my gosh.
It's been removed.
Oh.
So
How
it was
convenient,
on a-
Randall. I'm just kidding.
There was a post on Reddit.
No, it was on I think it was called Fansite. It's a site I read, so I'll see if I can get. I think I made a copy of it at work. I'll see if I can get it. But yeah, it's been removed.
We're breaking news.
Yeah, we're recklessly speculating at this point. But while we're recklessly speculating, Vanderbilt is a money drain from the SEC. And if you went to the football stadium, it is single worst the football stadium I've been in. And I mean, I think UTC's football stadium is better than Vanderbilt's.
Oh, Vanderbilt, they've been doing COVID protocol before COVID protocol was cool.
Yeah.
You can socially distance there better than anything.
All right, guys. Since I can't find my removed fan site article, we'll move on. Last subject of the night. Simone Biles wins a bronze medal, which I may be my most interested that I've been in the Olympics the whole time. I mean, I don't know if it's her telling the world to middle finger off, but I thought it was a nice moment to the Olympics. I know you two have been discussing Olympic basketball some. Where do we stand with the Olympics? Is Simone Biles? I know there've been some world records broken swimming. What's held your attention? What would you like to talk about, gentlemen? Robbie, you look like you've got something on your mind.
So I think of this Olympics as a rather tame Olympics and something that's kind of an off year, no fans. I think Simone Biles will be remembered as the story of the Olympics that, one, the courage to know something was wrong, to talk about something that was wrong. This is not, and this has been said, this is not basketball. This is not sprinting. This is not ice skating. This is gymnastics where if you don't have it, you can get seriously injured, paralyzed, or die. What she does and what she has to do to do her craft is extremely dangerous. And if you don't have it, and to prepare, this isn't her first Olympics, obviously. She's got as much gold as anyone could ever dream in a lifetime. But you still prepare 4 years for this. And to take a back seat and to get your mind right and to have to step back on teammates and just the courage that takes. And then to come back. And I get so sick and tired of, it's got to be gold or nothing. Are you kidding me? These are the best people in the world competing on a one-time event to beat you. And, hey, gold, obviously unbelievable. Silver, unbelievable. Bronze, unbelievable. To medal at the Olympics, the World Olympics, is freaking impressive. We have, 15, 20 viewers, and we're happy with ourselves. Could you imagine being the third best in what you want to do in life? Anyone who's criticizing her would give up almost everything to be the third best in his or her profession. So I applaud her, and I think she's going to be the story of the Olympics.
I agree with you. It was a feel good. And hey, this is not reckless speculation. It was, to me, it's the one time that I turned my, I don't watch a lot of TV, but I got a tweet that said she was competing. And I immediately, and it may have been tape delayed evenly, but I walked into the living room, turned my TV on, and it was one of those Olympic moments where I won't say I was in tears, but I was emotionally moved by her finishing third and winning a bronze medal.
Mm-hmm.
Not only that, the beam is not her strongest event. She said it herself. She did win the bronze, I think, in Rio in 16, but she had the twisties. And for people that aren't sure what she's referring to, if anyone's ever seen, the floor exercise when run and plant and flip 38 times in the air, she described it as not knowing which way was up or down, not having any kind of sense of space or dimension. Like Rob's been saying the whole time. I mean, that's broken back, broken neck, the way how fast she's moving. It's insane. So to come back, and not only that, so arguably having the most scrutiny of a gymnast ever in terms of, I know we know about Bruce Jenner, or Caitlin, and, Nadia Comaneci at age, 14 or whatever. But, there's more eyeballs on the Olympics today, obviously, than there were 20 years ago. And everybody was watching her. And for her to medal in probably one of her least strong events, and not only that, she tied Shannon Miller for becoming the most decorated U.S. gymnast of all time with 7 medals. And Biles has 4 golds to Miller's 2 golds. So even though it's not all about golds, she medaled to make herself tied for the most decorated U.S. gymnast of all times after basically having vertigo on the world's biggest stage. That's insane, man. I mean, what it takes, the courage and mental fortitude and whatnot it takes, and get off my lawn with saying, millennials, they don't want to compete, blah, blah, blah. STFU, bro. She's a monster, mentally and physically. And yeah, I think she is going to be the lasting effect. I agree with Robbie overall. There isn't the Usain Bolt or whatnot. A lot of hopes were resting on Biles in terms of American marketing for the Olympics, in terms of the Olympics, marketing the Olympics. There have been nice stories. I know that Tamara Mensah-Stock was the first African-American female to win gold in wrestling, which was an awesome achievement. We don't have, like I said, we don't have those marketable track stars, and they're going to be, but we didn't know about them coming in. And for most of us that aren't well versed at who's in the 4x100 medley in the pool, we have to learn from this Olympics and go into the next one. So it probably won't be awesome for ratings overall, but it'll be known for Simone Biles and a few other very memorable moments. And if anybody hasn't seen Snoop Dogg and Kevin Hart on Peacock talking about the Olympics, it's pretty great. So that would also be one of my highlights of this Olympics. It's worth checking out.
Ever since this was put as a topic list today, I was intrigued on what our very own bronze medal specialist was going to be talking about. Mr. Losing the semifinals, Randall, what do you got to talk about bronze medals?
Hey, I'm the 3rd best player in our league. That's quite an accomplishment that the sober guy loses to 2 drunks every year.
Every single year.
Every year. All right, guys.
Wait. Can I say one thing? I don't know if you guys caught this. I believe it was the Canadian sprinter who won the 100-meter dash, and he came out of like 19th in the world. Over under how long that gold medal stands?
September the 1st.
September the 1st?
Yes.
I'll take under.
I tell you, another good moment of the Olympics for me was backup quarterback David Blau of the Detroit Lions. His wife is running for Columbia, Melissa Rodriguez, and they basically stopped training camp. And there's a video of David Blau watching his wife win or finish second to make it to the Olympic finals. And it's a real good moment. And you know what, man? You think about an NFL quarterback, this guy competes at the highest level of football. He was a little kid watching his wife run the 400-meter hurdles. And I thought that was a good moment, too, for me on a personal level.
Isn't Katie Ledecky still kicking ass? We've said ass 3 times now. I think she's still, like, amazing in the pool, right? Like, I don't know what her medal count is, but
yeah,
American swimming has definitely kind of taken the pole, or the baton, if you will.
They need to get this back away from start of football season so I can focus more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
like the fat guy spreading rumors about Vandy needs to focus more. Let's get him back.
Bold move, by the way, running with the 2020 in Tokyo, even though it's 2021, obviously. Yeah. Bold move there.
All right, guys. It's time for my favorite part of the week. I went the safest path ever. None of my picks are going to show up until August, or until January. I do have my pick for the NFC East, which is AFC East. Maybe the lamest pick I make for a while. But, I mean, if you're picking the AFC East, can you pick anybody besides at -140, the Buffalo Bills? I almost said I wanted to drop $10 on the New England Patriots at +370, but the Bills are going to win the East, and that's going to be my bet the nuts. So let's recap right now what I have outstanding. The Titans to win the South, the Bills to win the East. Not a lot of drama there. Next week, the AFC North, I think that's the first time. There is probably 3 of the 4 teams in the AFC North that I think could win the division.
When's the Hall of Fame game? It's got to be coming up, right?
Yeah, I have a.
Yeah, usually it's around now.
Yeah, Peyton's induction is the 10th, so it's got to be next week.
Okay.
I have a jamboree the 14th at Sequatchie County Stadium, and while we're waiting on Rod to see if he rejoins, this week's 3R's Sports is brought to you by Man Hummel, the place that's gave me a paycheck for 10 years, despite being a marginal employee. Man Hummel, let me just throw this up because I work there and I cannot remember the phone number. Man Hummel is 260 Resource Drive. We're doing a hiring event all week. If you missed today's, you can call 423-443-7783. Ask for Riley Tarver. Again, Man Hummel doing a hiring event starting at $14.50 an hour. And if you stay 4 months, we're going to give you $500. $500. And I'm telling you, guys, if you knew you could work somewhere that's kept me a job for 10 years for $14.50 an hour, would you not do it? Seems like easy money.
Yeah. Speaking of people that don't work very hard, shout out to
Criminal
Barry James, who's one of our solid watchers, and he just got a bonus today for his employment. Hey, government employment, it has its perks.
Hey, and Man Hummel, real quick, I want to make sure that the old man there, it was 423-443-7883 instead of 7783. Yes, 7883. We don't want to upset anyone who takes the time. So I don't mean to one-up you there, but I know you would have been mad at yourself if that were the case. So, yeah.
And Miss Riley Tarver's family owns a Anheuser-Busch distributorship in Cleveland. So we've supported her family for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
So she's our HR assistant. That is her company cell phone. Call it, and it's 7883. Mr. Davis, the best gambler that I know.
Man, I'm on a little bit of a cold streak, and I apologize for that for everyone. I think I'm going to get us back on track this week. So obviously, I think I've expressed my frustration with NASCAR taking this Olympic break because NBC doesn't have enough networks. Just sign on with ESPN for Christ's sake. so we can get NASCAR all year round. But so we don't talk much soccer on here, and we don't talk much about Atlanta United, who won the championship early on. They went through coaches, they went through best players, they've gotten shipped overseas. They've been snake bitten a bit here recently, but tomorrow night at 7:30, they're going on the road in Montreal. On May 15th this year, they played in Atlanta. Atlanta won 1-0 over Montreal. Montreal's a little better in the standings. Atlanta still has talent. They just don't have it together. But a little bit of a revenge game. And I know everyone's going to hate this, but I am betting for a tie. A tie is plus 260. I think Montreal gets off the board first. Atlanta scores late in the second. Montreal is much more happier with a tie than Atlanta is. Atlanta's fine losing or not. So I'm doing a draw plus 260 on the Atlanta versus Montreal game tomorrow night.
You can bet a draw.
Oh, yeah. It's
nice.
Soccer, man. You got to love it.
Got to generate interest any way we can in the U.S.
So we've got a soccer pick, and we've got a guy that made a pick 5 months from now. Raj, where are you taking this to?
Pretty exciting stuff to end the show.
Hey, I'm not going to be very original either. I'm going tomorrow with Max Scherzer in his debut. The Dodgers are minus 203. Not the best odds ever. In terms of, I'm not really sticking my neck out. It's also going against Jake Odorizzi. He's got ERA near 5, but the over/under is 8.5. So I'm thinking about the parlay with the Dodgers minus 203 and the under. I don't foresee the Astros putting up. I mean, they're the best offense in the league, I believe, but I think Scherzer's going to come out like, he's never played in front of 55,000. I keep saying that. I think he's going to be shut down tomorrow. So I will stick my neck out further and go with the under and Dodgers minus 203.
I didn't think when I made my pick at negative 151, I'd be in the middle of the pack. But thanks, Raj. It does make me feel better about my pick. Robbie at plus 260, Randall at negative 150, and Raj at negative 203.
Yeah, plus the under. So I don't know what the combined would be with the parlay, but
you're probably getting to about even money on the parlay then.
All right, nice.
So
my bet for $100 is going in the computer right now.
Again, August 17th at our friends on Cherokee Boulevard, Davis, Kessler, and Davis. Live 3R's Sports 2 weeks from tonight. That could be interesting. We've invited a bunch of special guests, including our friend Chappie from Sports Illustrated fame, Dr. Roto, our boy Phil Harris, our friends from our fantasy football league. We can't just keep calling it a fantasy football league. Let's call it the Jimmy James Invitational. They can all make an appearance that night. The guys from Off the Center Card Show in Michigan is going to be here. My buddy D. Swain from the D. Swain and Bilo Show will be here. And, of course, starring Robbie Davis and Raj Mehta. That's 2 weeks from tonight. Robbie, Robbie, we're going to let you clean up tonight. Raj, what's your last words tonight?
I wasn't prepared for this. It's usually Rob. I am not actually, I'm pretty stoked on back surgery on Thursday. The only reason why I say this is I was asking Randall, who is basically made up of popsicle sticks at this point in his life. It's minor surgery, by the way, but it's just weird. Don't abuse your body too much while you're younger. Let me put it that way.
Hey, don't watch Dr. Death tonight.
Actually, that's what we watch this week, and I'm all about. Yeah, exactly. I'd heard the podcast, but Stephanie was like, my wife was like, "You want to turn it off?" And I'm like, I'm all about, confronting those things. But there were a few procedures that pretty similar to mine, which again is super minor. It's just like shaving back the disc that's on the sciatic nerve. But like, yeah, after watching that show, it's like the dude cut off the vas deferens or freaking vocal cords or something on people. But yeah, I'm not super religious, so you don't have to pray for me. But that's the only thing I've been talking about, because I don't know if you see me grimacing right now. I just walk around with ice pack, so I'm ready for it, because yeah, I abused my body at a younger age. So don't do it. That's all I can say. That's my final words.
Mr. Davis.
Yeah, I guess my final words for tonight are just how much fun this has been through this part of the sports world. I cannot wait. Like, it is getting so close. Like, I enjoy doing this now each week and each Tuesday. I can't wait in the next couple of months when football season starts, and yes, bad beats to steal from SVP, gambling stories, and hey, going up to Knoxville and being drunk and being like, oh, I don't even remember that part of the game stories. Like, it's about to get so much better, and so I'm excited about it and excited about the future.
So officially, I've decided our seasons will run from the opening weekend of college football. So we will close out season 1 and begin season 2, episode 1 on college football weekend. Of course, we're 21 episodes in now, which seems impossible, but that's always a good mark to how long we've been here. So we'll start with our special kickoff program, season 2, episode 1.
Something tells me the kumbaya nature of this show is going to change drastically come football
Somebody's going to
season.
get called dirty names before football season's over. And it could be me.
Backhand trade proposals, waiver wires.
How many guys do you think we're going to get on from our league on the 17th that's going to come on here and actually tell us how they're going to win the league?
I've got my calendar booked off from 8 to midnight. What's our time? What's our schedule?
We are 8 to midnight, but we'll see how much you get into the bourbon. We could cut it at 11.
Well, I'm definitely gonna need a ride home. That's for
absolutely. Sure. Absolutely. So, all right, for Robbie Davis, Raj Mehta. Raj, you going to be back with us next week after you get the backs fixed?
I will.
We'll
no worries.
See you next week.
Outpatient. I'll be fine.
All right. Well, good luck with your surgery, man.
Peace. Go Dodgers against the cheaters. I thought those are my final words.
Don't have anything cut off you may need later.
That doesn't sound good.
See ya.
See ya.
Adios.